Seniors, this one vitamin deficiency guarantees a hip fracture in 12 months. Fix it tonight. Let me ask you something terrifying. What if I told you there's one single vitamin deficiency that could quietly make your bones so weak, your hip could snap just from a minor stumble in less than a year? You might think you're doing fine, eating your meals, taking a multivitamin now and then. But the scary truth is, over 70% of seniors over 60 are walking around with at least one critical vitamin deficiency, and they don't even know it. And here's the worst part. Studies have shown that a deficiency in just one key vitamin increases your risk of hip fracture by up to 96% in just 12 months. That's not decades down the line, that's 1 year. And as you may already know, a hip fracture at an advanced age isn't just a broken bone. It can be a life-altering or even life-ending event. According to the CDC, nearly 1 in 3 seniors dies within a year of suffering a hip fracture. That's how serious this is. But how does a tiny missing nutrient cause bones to crumble like dried clay? How can a body that carried you through decades suddenly betray you like this? The answer lies in a handful of vitamins you probably aren't getting enough of, vitamins that regulate your bone metabolism, keep your muscles strong, and help your nervous system stay sharp. Miss just one, and the whole structure starts to fail. And stick around because the number one vitamin on this list is the most shocking. New studies revealed that when seniors are deficient in it, they're nearly guaranteed to suffer a serious fall or fracture within 12 months. It's the most important, and yet the most ignored, vitamin of all. Before we begin, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Number 5. Vitamin B12 deficiency. You might think of vitamin B12 as just an energy booster, but what it really does inside your body is far more powerful and dangerous if you're missing it. B12 is essential for proper nerve function. Without it, the insulation around your nerves, called the myelin sheath, begins to deteriorate. When that happens, your nerves misfire. That's why many seniors with B12 deficiency report numbness in their feet, tingling in their hands, or feeling like they're walking on cotton. But here's where it gets terrifying. This numbness leads to instability. You don't feel where your foot lands, your balance goes, and then the falls start. One study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed over 500 older adults and found that those with low B12 levels were twice as likely to experience balance issues and 3 times more likely to fall. It wasn't a coincidence, it was the vitamin. And the problem doesn't stop with nerves. B12 also indirectly affects your bones. Research from Tufts University showed that low levels of B12 were associated with lower bone mineral density in both the spine and hips. Think of your bones like scaffolding. They need the right materials to stay strong. Without B12, that scaffolding weakens from the inside out. Now here's the frustrating part. Many seniors don't absorb B12 well from food because of something called atrophic gastritis, a condition that reduces stomach acid, which is necessary to absorb B12. So even if you're eating eggs and meat, you might still be deficient. The best way to fix this? Go straight for the most absorbable form, methylcobalamin supplements. These are available over the counter and are far more bioavailable than cyanocobalamin, the cheaper version. Doctors typically recommend 500 to 1,000 micrograms daily if you're over 60 and not absorbing well. And yes, you can also get B12 from food. Beef liver is by far the richest source, followed by salmon, eggs, and dairy. But if you're already deficient, food might not be enough. A blood test can confirm this, and if your levels are below 350 picograms per milliliters, you'll likely need a supplement. Number 4. Vitamin C deficiency. When you hear vitamin C, your mind probably jumps to colds or oranges. But its role in bone health is massive and dangerously overlooked. Vitamin C is essential for collagen production. Collagen is the protein matrix that gives your bones flexibility. Without enough collagen, your bones become brittle. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper using dry spaghetti instead of steel. That's what your bones look like inside when you don't have enough vitamin C. A study from the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research followed 1,000 elderly participants over 12 years and found that those with the highest vitamin C intake had a 34% lower risk of hip fractures than those with the lowest. That's nearly cutting your fracture risk by a third, just by getting enough of this one vitamin. But there's more. Vitamin C also helps reduce chronic inflammation, which is one of the hidden drivers of bone loss. Inflammation triggers cells called osteoclasts to break down bone faster than it can be rebuilt. Vitamin C, as a powerful antioxidant, calms this process down. So, without it, not only is your collagen production stalled, but your bones are being eaten away more aggressively. The issue with vitamin C is that the body doesn't store it. You need a daily supply. The recommended amount for seniors is about 75 to 90 milligrams per day, but that's just to avoid deficiency, not to optimize bone health. Many experts now recommend 200 to 500 milligrams a day for older adults, especially if you're healing from injuries or are at risk of fractures. You can get this through supplements, but natural sources like bell peppers, kiwi, strawberries, broccoli, and of course, citrus fruits are incredibly rich in vitamin C. Here's a tip. Red bell peppers have almost 3 times the vitamin C of an orange and come with added benefits like beta-carotene for your immune system. If you smoke, even passively, your vitamin C requirements skyrocket. That's because smoking destroys vitamin C in the bloodstream. So if you live with a smoker or were a smoker in the past, you need to be especially vigilant. And remember, supplements work best when taken with meals as they're water-soluble and need regular replenishment. You can't store it for a rainy day. Your bones need it daily. Number 3, magnesium deficiency. Magnesium is one of those minerals that doesn't get much attention, but it should, especially for seniors, because without magnesium, your bones can't absorb calcium properly, no matter how much milk or supplements you take. And when calcium doesn't get absorbed into your bones, it lingers in your bloodstream and ends up causing problems elsewhere, like stiff arteries and kidney stones. But let's stay focused on bones for a moment, because magnesium's impact here is shocking. First, magnesium activates the enzymes responsible for forming new bone. It also regulates something called parathyroid hormone, which controls calcium levels. When magnesium is low, this hormone goes haywire, and your body begins leaching calcium out of your bones just to keep blood levels normal. That's like dismantling your walls to patch a hole in your ceiling. And here's what the research says. A major study in the journal Osteoporosis International followed over 2,000 older adults and found that those with low magnesium levels had a 44% higher risk of fractures, especially in the hip and femur, the strongest bones in your body. That's not just coincidence, that's a biochemical chain reaction. Now let's talk about why magnesium deficiency is so common. It's estimated that up to 80% of seniors aren't getting enough magnesium. Why? Part of the reason is poor dietary intake. White bread, processed foods, canned goods, these are all stripped of magnesium. And if you're on certain medications like diuretics or proton pump inhibitors, the kind for acid reflux, they flush magnesium right out of your body. Even stress depletes it. Guess emotional stress. So how do you fix it? First, aim to eat magnesium-rich foods every day. These include spinach, almonds, pumpkin seeds, black beans, and dark chocolate. The higher the cacao content, the better. Avocados are also a great source, and they come with healthy fats that help nutrient absorption. As for supplements, magnesium citrate is one of the most absorbable forms and gentle on the stomach. Start with 200 to 300 milligrams per day, taken in the evening since it also helps with sleep. Avoid magnesium oxide. It's cheap but barely absorbed. And here's a trick. Taking magnesium with a little vitamin D can improve absorption for both. Think of them like teammates, useless apart, powerful together. If you're someone who gets muscle cramps at night, trouble sleeping, or high blood pressure, these can also be signs your magnesium is low. And correcting that could save you from a fall that changes your life forever. Number 2, vitamin D deficiency. Now we're getting into serious territory. Vitamin D is often called the sunshine vitamin, but it's far more than that. It's the hormonal backbone of your entire bone-building system. Without enough of it, your bones slowly crumble, even if you're getting plenty of calcium. That's the kicker. You can drink all the milk you want, pop all the calcium pills on the market, and still end up with paper-thin bones if your vitamin D is low. Vitamin D helps your intestines absorb calcium. Without it, up to 80% of dietary calcium just passes through your body and ends up in the toilet. But beyond calcium absorption, vitamin D also supports the activity of osteoblasts, the cells responsible for building new bone. And perhaps even more importantly, it supports muscle strength. Strong muscles prevent falls, weak muscles, falls, fractures, wheelchairs. A jaw-dropping study published in JAMA Internal Medicine tracked seniors aged 65 and older. It found that those with vitamin D levels below 20 nanograms per milliliters had a 77% higher risk of hip fractures. That's not just slightly worse, it's nearly double the risk. And yet, more than half of all seniors in the US have vitamin D levels below this critical threshold. Here's another shocking stat. In winter months, vitamin D production from sunlight drops to near zero in many parts of the world. Even in sunny places, older adults produce less vitamin D through their skin as they age. So unless you're spending 20 to 30 minutes a day outside with your arms and legs exposed, and you're not wearing sunscreen, your body is likely running on empty. So what do you do? First, check your vitamin D level with a simple blood test. It's called 25-hydroxyvitamin D, and anything below 30 nanograms per milliliters is considered low. Ideally, you want to aim for levels between 40 and 60 for optimal bone and muscle health. If you're deficient, doctors often recommend 2,000 to 4,000 international units per day of vitamin D3, the more active and bioavailable form. Some people need even more for a short period to bring their levels up quickly. These are called loading doses, but always do that under supervision. Now, as for food, very few natural foods contain enough vitamin D. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are great sources. Egg yolks and liver also contain some. But even with a good diet, it's hard to get what you need without sunlight or supplements. And here's a little-known tip. Always take your vitamin D with a meal that contains fat. It's a fat-soluble vitamin, meaning it absorbs best when eaten alongside foods like avocado, olive oil, or nuts. If you're popping it on an empty stomach with just water, you're wasting your money. Number 1. Vitamin K2 deficiency. Now we've arrived at the most important and shockingly underrated vitamin of them all, vitamin K2. Most people have never even heard of it. It's not the same as K1, the one found in leafy greens that helps with clotting. Vitamin K2 has a completely different job. It tells calcium where to go in your body. That might sound simple, but it's critical. Because when your body doesn't have enough K2, calcium starts ending up in all the wrong places, like in your arteries, joints, and soft tissues, instead of going into your bones where it belongs. Now, here's the part that'll make you sit up straight. A landmark 10-year study published in the journal PLOS Medicine found that seniors with low levels of vitamin K2 had a staggering 85% higher risk of hip fractures. Not only that, they also had a higher chance of dying after the fracture due to complications. This vitamin isn't just helpful, it's essential, and it works hand in hand with vitamin D. Think of vitamin D as the guy who brings calcium into the bloodstream, and K2 as the traffic cop that directs it into the bones. Without K2, that calcium ends up clogging arteries and joints, causing stiffness, pain, and even heart disease. Now here's the catch. Most diets today are completely void of K2. Why? Because it's found in very specific foods that most people don't eat anymore. The richest natural source is something called natto, a fermented soybean dish that's popular in Japan. Other sources include aged cheeses, goose liver, and certain fermented dairy products. Even with those, you'd have to eat large amounts regularly to meet optimal levels. The good news is that K2 supplements are now widely available, and the form you want is called MK7. That's the most bioavailable, long-acting form. Experts recommend 100 to 200 micrograms daily, especially if you're taking vitamin D or calcium. Without K2, those other nutrients can actually do more harm than good. And if you're on blood thinners, you should absolutely talk to your doctor before supplementing, as K2 can affect clotting in high doses. One of the most powerful things you can do to protect your bones is combine K2 with vitamin D3 and magnesium. This trio forms the foundation of bone strength, mobility, and fracture prevention in older age. In fact, in Japan, where K2 intake is significantly higher due to traditional diets, the rate of hip fractures in seniors is about 40% lower than in Western countries. That's not a coincidence. That's nutrition doing its job. You might be wondering, how long does it take to see the effects? While your bones don't rebuild overnight, studies show that K2 can start reducing arterial calcification and improving bone density markers within just a few months. And when combined with weight-bearing exercise, the benefits multiply. Even walking 20 minutes a day while on K2 and D3 can increase leg strength and reduce fall risk dramatically. So if there's one vitamin that could literally mean the difference between walking confidently or being confined to a wheelchair within the next year, it's this one. Ignoring it is like ignoring a crack in the foundation of your home and hoping it won't collapse. You need to fix it now. And that brings us to the end of our countdown. To recap, these 5 vitamin deficiencies: B12, C, magnesium, D, and K2. Are silent destroyers of bone strength in seniors. They creep in unnoticed, they weaken the body from the inside, and they often don't show symptoms until it's too late and a fall has already happened. But here's the good news. Every single one of them is correctable. With the right foods, the right supplements, and just a little consistency, you can dramatically lower your risk of fractures, improve your balance, and stay strong for years to come. So, what should you do now? First, talk to your doctor about getting your vitamin levels checked, especially D, B12, and magnesium. These are simple blood tests but can provide life-saving information. Second, take a serious look at your diet. Are you getting fermented foods, leafy greens, fatty fish? If not, consider smart supplementation, but always choose quality over hype. And third, stay active. Nutrients feed your bones, but movement strengthens them. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever been tested for vitamin deficiencies? Do you take any supplements regularly, or have you noticed any symptoms like muscle weakness, imbalance, or brittle bones? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching.